Let's do this. Let's go. Camera. Screen, camera. Screen, camera. Don't look at the screen, look at the camera. No.
Well, in time, would you say you ought to be able to wrap this up in 24 hours?
What's up, everyone, and welcome to this series of beat breakdowns for all the tracks from my EP. It's called The Garden, and I just released it recently. And this is the breakdown for the track Sunday, as requested, most highly requested by the lovely people on my Instagram. So let's get into it. So this is the project for Sunday right here. It's going to be in this box above Chopper's head. So as you can see, wonderfully organized, as most of my projects now are. Since before, if any of you watched my previous beat breakdowns, they are a bit of a mess. But yeah, this is Sunday. It's one of my favorite tracks to produce, or it was one of my favorite tracks to produce. It let me kind of mess around with a lot of different sounds and things like that. So yeah, I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna start with this intro section, which it's different to a lot of my tracks, although I like using a lot of samples from films and just talking pieces and stuff like that. But this is how it goes.
Well, in time, would you say you ought to be able to wrap this up in 24 hours?
We don't have very long.
Okay, so where do we start? Okay, so the sample in this part of the piece is taken from a film called The Night of the Living Dead. This film poster, beautiful film poster right here. I wouldn't say that I watched the film particularly. I just download a lot of sample packs from films. In this particular situation, I just downloaded a sample pack of kind of sound bites from The Night of the Living Dead film. And I know there are two versions of the film. It's the older one from, I want to say, the 60s or the 70s, and I'm probably going to be wrong. So here's the correction right here. Let me see if I can find it. And I can type. There it is. So as you can see in this sample pack right here, if you ignore everything else that's going on my screen, tons of vocal things. I'm not stupid enough to follow you.
If you're stupid enough to go die in that trap, that's your business. However, I am not stupid enough to follow you.
I'm not gonna lie, if you hear something like that in one of my future tracks, you know where it's from now. Don't know what this one is.
I jumped in to listen to it.
I mean, come on. I'm gonna use that. And it worked really well for this piece. The song is kind of about, time running out. You want something to last longer than it actually is gonna last. So, yeah, this part here.
Well, in time, would you say you ought to be able to wrap this up in 24 hours?
We don't have very long.
It just works perfectly. I mean, it's Sunday, 24 hours, But yeah, that's the whole crux of the song. It kind of gives you a little synopsis. It gives you a little prologue to the song. So that's the first part of this track. And then this is the bass that runs throughout the track. This, I think, it characterizes the whole vibe of the track. But this is the bass. If you can hear it. So that's the bass sound that's used throughout. It's from the Mini Moog. It's called a fret bass. And then there's the guitar part, which is these two. So I use a shaper box on this, and in the bass, the classic RC20. But I use RC20 to add color to the guitars that I play in. So you've got one which is like that. So that's this one. So one of the main things that the shaper box is doing, aside from messing with the pan, so as you can see, it's moving it to the left side of the stereo soundscape. Oh, yeah, I really should know more technical terms. But it also has a filter running on loop, so it's kind of increasing the amount of high frequency you can hear and then dropping it back down. That's what's creating that kind of swelling sound. Then you've got a more clean guitar on the side. I just realised that I switched off a lot of I switched off a lot of the plugins for this version of the track because I was exporting stems because I didn't mix the final version of this track. I actually sent it to my guy Don the Prod, and he did a crazy good job mixing it. And I loved the final outcome, and I'm glad that I didn't mix it myself, basically, because I don't think it would have done it any kind of justice.
Well, in time, would you say you ought to be able to wrap this up in 24 hours?
This is my version of the mixing ending, so at least you guys will be able to hear some version of it. It should be relatively similar to what the final outcome was, although the plugins will be slightly different. So, yeah, that was the first section, and then obviously there's some keys coming through here. This is another staple pad that I love using. I called it the radio pad because it feels like it's got that kind of crackly radio tone to it. Again from the Mini Moog. And it's the preset called Floating, but then I added RC20 to create that wobble and the crackle that's going on in the background, that bit extra noise. And I probably did something to the actual preset. And then another... yeah, I don't use autotune a lot, but when I do, I keep it simple. I like clean vocals, but the intro to this, it felt like it needed this, so I just used the quantized mode on Little Autoboy, which is another plugin I use a lot, so whenever you watch my beat breakdowns, I'm very consistent with the plugins I use. And this is another little part I like. Just a little something, little something. Anyway, so that's the intro part, and a lot of that is quite consistent throughout the track, apart from this part. So this was meant to emulate kind of a clock ticking. It keeps going all the way through the piece, and then the drums come in. Okay, not the drums, but like a snare starts to come in. And there's a reason why I call this tennis sample. It is basically because I sampled the snare from a tennis game I was at. So if I play it by itself, if you listen really closely, I don't know if you can hear it properly, but if not, I'm gonna like bounce it and play it right here. When you hear it, you're gonna be able to hear some like grunting in the background from the players, because I got really lucky basically, and I was at a Wimbledon match, and it was like, I want to say, well, I should really remember this, I think it was Serena, but it was Serena versus someone else. Anyway, they were grunting like hell, and I was like on the side of the pitch, and I was like, if I don't record this into my voice recorder, I'm missing a trick. And obviously like the power of their shots was like, this could be a 6 snare. So when I got home, I was like, I'm gonna put this into a track. So yeah, that was the... So obviously needed a bit more like a clicky kind of sound to it. I'd added a bit crusher, which is a stock plugin, but it kind of made it a bit more rough. The other things were just to kind of make that kind of the higher frequencies come out a little bit more, so it kind of clips. So that's a tennis sample. If I've got a video from the game, I might put it here, but who knows. I really like the drum pattern because it doesn't feel too standard. I wanted it to have a bit more groove. Basically how I would do it is literally play it into this. I would play it into the live drums, into a sampler at that time. I put in all the specific sounds that I wanted to into that sampler, and I'd play it out, and then I would split it up so that I could mix each sound separately. This is something that I put in and I thought was so good for the texture of the piece. It's just arpeggiatic sequences. It's called Feeling Down on Wally 5 by Arturia again. It's got a really cool like wobbly quality to it, more so because of this. with a little bit of this, it kind of creates a little bit more spacey vibe to it, which I love in any of the instruments I use, really. I always like stick a lead in to kind of counter the melody from the vocals whenever I can. Anything that I add is like, if it sounds good, I will add it in. These parts were kind of a clean guitar. I'm actually pretty sure that was from an acoustic that I had this stuff in. Same with any solos. If you keep an eye on this up here, there's a tempo marking. As we move from this section over here, which is the main part of the song, 2.5 minutes ish. As we move from the main part of the song into the outro section, it kind of slows down, as you'll see. Let's watch this up here. So this is kind of like a separate production point in this piece. So when I go through it, it will be a little bit different to the main part of the track. First of all, the one thing that stays kind of constant throughout is the ticking, but the ticking is slowed down. It's like kind of slowed down the piece, like he's trying to slow down time. He wants the day to last longer. That's the reason for it, basically. And I've just really liked the idea of a slow outro section to this track. So it's like trying to slow it down, but I can't let it go again. I want to watch Love Island in like 5 minutes. Anyway, let's keep going. Another part that I really love about this part of the track is a kind of glidey bass. But I love listening to the outros, because if I could have like 4 or 5 minute songs which were just similar to the outros that I create, that's definitely something that I would do on an album. So it's all like kind of like a gliding, ethereal, psychedelic vibe to it. Oh, I really like that by itself, honestly. It's gonna build this back up, so you're gonna see all the different things coming back together. Then you've got a spacey pad in here. As you can see, super spacey. I mean, couldn't get more spacey, right? It's from a Prophet synth. It's called Ak Luna. I'm assuming like an accordion, some sort. And then you've got arpeggiate chords from your Entropy Wurlitzer again. Then you've got the guitars. I mean, that is the vibe of this outro part. And as you can see, that this mid, I literally dragged out. That's why it's so distorted as well. And this is like a second outro to this section. It's the faster version of the outro. It's just a different outro, basically. So this song has 2 outros. I hope you guys enjoyed that part of it. You got an angel pad here. Otherwise, the rest of the track has a similar vibe to it. The last thing I'm going to go through really quickly is the vocals and how I kind of variated background vocals, especially. Kept it quite simple for the ad-libs, nothing too crazy apart from, like you saw at the beginning, that little altar boy stuff. And I used like a vocal rise, a little bit of that first section, and I reversed it, and that's why you get the part that comes into it. And this part is just meant to mirror the actual melody going on from the lead vocals. Again, a lot of these background vocals might be clean without too much plugins, but then the ones that are usually use an octaver, maybe a little bit of auto-tune to kind of create that kind of vibe. But I love this kind of chipmunky sound, or the opposite, where you've got this kind of low voice where the formant has been decreased on. And then I used just a few chords. This is another one of the background vocals, and it's so far in the background that you may not have even noticed it. And then this part over here. There's nothing crazy going on with the background vocals, but I like to keep it consistent. I like a few kind of harmonies. I'm probably in the future going to work on beefing up background vocals even more. But yeah, aside from that, the production was all in this room. Recording was all in this room with this perhaps kind of old mic now, but it does the job really well, so I'm proud of it. That's my track, Sunday. That is the track, that's the full thing. There was a good amount of like meaning to the track, but you're gonna hear about it in a lyric breakdown because enough of you guys wanted to have lyric breakdowns, so I'm working on that at the moment. Yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys, and this was the track Sunday from my EP The Garden. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit me up on Instagram at the first satchit right here, and check out my website as well because I do keep it. I don't know what I'm gonna put here, but that's my website. And I do keep it updated. If you subscribe, I will send you guys newsletters and stuff. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next beat breakdown. But don't forget to keep streaming the EP, Spotify, Apple Music, add it to all your playlists. Take care. Go.
Girl, I thought we hit it off. Was that some wrong? Didn't I show you what you're looking for?
Please keep streaming the EP as well. I'm gonna forget to say that for sure. So I'm glad that I just remembered.